Welcome out, folks. This is the very first review that we're doing here with the new channel, Simply Being Shipley Cigar and Pipe. This is another passion of mine, other than my first YouTube channel that's going pretty strong, which is all about motorcycling. So check that out if you're into that, and there'll be links at the end. But right now, let's get into this very first review, which is going to be of the Perdomo ESV Connecticut cigar. Now, I really want your feedback. Let me know what you think about this format, the content, good, bad, indifferent. Let me know so that I can fine tune and provide you with ongoing content that is the type of stuff that you want to see. So this is my very first attempt at reviewing cigars and pipes and tobaccos and history and all the good stuff that we're going to get into. So help me out. Let me know what you think. Now let's get into this. So from Perdomo themselves, a lot of this information can be found on their website, but you're going to see a lot of this popping up into my review. So let's go ahead and cover it. Perdomo has the Estate Selection, I don't even know if I said that right, Vintage Limited Edition Box Press. Now, it is limited edition and it is not super common, but it is able to be found. And it's something I definitely recommend that you go and pick up and give this a shot. It is, of course, handcrafted, coming from Perdomo, and it's the top 5% of their sun-grown, or their estate-grown, I should say, tobaccos. It's not sun-grown, but it's the estate-grown. Now, this here is going to have a bold, rich, complex flavors. There is no harshness in this cigar. A lot of time when marketing companies get the word bold in there, what they're really trying to do is disguise the harshness. And there's no harshness in here, but it is very full flavored. And you're going to get a lot out of this. This particular one of the three ESVs is the Connecticut, which is a little bit sweeter, has a little bit more, like it says, of a honey flavor. It's a little bit on the sweeter side for a Nicaraguan based cigar, but it is done extremely well. The sizes that are offered, the Regente, the Imperio, the Prestigio, the Phantom, and the Aristocrata, which is their Churchill. What we are smoking here is going to be that Epicure, the Imperio 6x54. The blend consists of a wrapper that is an Ecuadorian Connecticut. The binder is a Nicaraguan. The filler is Nicaraguan, and its country of origin is Nicaragua. The wrapper on it is very consistent, and you're going to hear that throughout this review because these ESVs are super consistent. But the wrapper, there's no variation really from the top to the bottom. The seams are very hard to find. The veins are very hard to find. And it's just a good quality build. A lot of attention is paid to the construction of these cigars. Hey guys, thanks for watching this very first cigar review for the new channel, Simply Being Shipley Cigar and Pipe. So today we're going to be looking at this guy right here, which is the Perdomo ESV Connecticut. Now let's talk a little bit about this particular cigar. So Perdomo Estate Selection Vintage is what this cigar is, and it is a limited edition box press. You're looking at a go-to cigar from Perdomo that is although not common, it's not impossible to find. Now, um, as we reviewed earlier in the presentation in this video, we covered a little bit about the sizes and the makeup of this cigar. Let's talk a little bit about the actual performance in this section. So the pre-light draw was really, really smooth. It was pleasant. There was some coffee notes in there, a little bit darker coffee notes, but there was no obstructions. It was an even flow all throughout. The presentation of the cigar was amazing. On lighting it up, what surprised me the most was a really well-balanced peppery taste. A lot of times, peppery tastes are associated with harshness, and that harshness will affect how long you can smoke the cigar. At least for me, sometimes people don't want to admit it, but once that I get too far into a cigar that is too harsh, then I start to get a little bit overwhelmed by the tobacco, and I have to stop the cigar early. This is a cigar that you will not have to stop early. The pepper is really well balanced. It comes on smoothly and pretty evenly. And really, there's no harshness to this cigar whatsoever. The burn on it is super consistent. The ash is strong. Very, very nice white. And even when we have the first ash breaking off and it falls from a height of where I'm sitting down to the ground, it doesn't break apart. It stays pretty well held together. So that speaks a lot into the construction of the cigar. I have had this particular cigar blend a few times. Although it's not my favorite by Perdomo, it is a really good one to have. And to that end, I've never had any problems with the construction. A lot of times when rollers are putting together the tobaccos, the inside tobaccos, the filler, they'll roll it and there'll be a channel going down the roll where the edges come together, so to speak, and that allows more of an airflow than the rest of the rest of the filler. So you'll have those runs start that shoot up the cigar, and then you're constantly retouching it. You will never have this experience with these Perdomo ESVs, not only the Connecticut, but the other ones as well. So I'm enjoying the cigar out here on my back patio. The dogs are running around, the kids are running around, just enjoying some of the first good warmth to the end of that follows the end of the cold weather here in South Texas or Central Texas, and just loving life, which is what you do when you smoke a cigar, or at least that's what you should do when you smoke a cigar. So let's go on here a little bit. With this cigar, the cap is held on with a little bit of sweetness in the, what is it called? The whatever that is, the paste that they use to attach the cap. So when you go to cut the cigar, cut it low in the cap. Leave some of the cap on. So cut out maybe the center 2/3 of the cap. Don't go so far up the cigar that you remove the entire cap, because it will add just a little extra finishing touch of sweetness if you have some of that gummy paste that they use to attach the cap with. Nick Perdomo himself does a huge series of videos on his cigars. He is probably the most prolific manufacturer that gets on and talks about his product in detail, as well as the culture of cigar smoking. So I would recommend that you hit up his YouTube channel and see some of the stuff he has to say. He's a really awesome guy, second generation in the cigar family. But this company is his. He created it so he could do something with his father. Now, the cigar, it gets warm, but it never gets too hot. It has a amount of thickness to the filler that the heat and temperature in the cigar maintains a very even heat and temperature throughout, which is a great thing. Sometimes you'll get cigars that burn a little bit too fast because it has too easy of a flow through, or pockets that are easier than other pockets, and it'll cause heating, and too much heating can spoil the oils inside the cigar. So this one is very consistent. Right now you can see the amount of ash, the evenness of the burn, and the strength of the ash that's I'm having here at this point. Although I sped up this section of the video so as to not bore you with the smoking of the cigar, the fact is that it took me about an hour and 10 minutes to enjoy this cigar. And I was smoking a little faster than normal, but it is a good quality long-term cigar. Just sit back and enjoy it if you get a chance to experience one of these. You can never go wrong with having a box of these around. I can't speak enough. And one of the big points for me is the consistency. There is no variation in these cigars. A lot of times with other cigars, especially in premium cigars, more than say your mainstream cigars, you'll have a situation where each crop is grown, the soil is slightly different, and you're going to get a slightly different feel or taste from it, performance, but more than anything else, the taste can vary a little bit. With these cigars, with Nick Perdomo's crops that he harvests, there is a consistency that I have not experienced in any other brand. What you get this year, 2 years from now, you're going to get from that crop too. And so these are really good to keep around. But if you run out, don't fear. It's not like, LaFleur, one of my other favorite manufacturers, where different batches can have different taste, and it's hard to recapture a particular blend exactly because there's some variance in the leaves. Not with the Perdomo, not with the ESVs. The consistency is utterly amazing. I have no idea how they're able to do that with producing the volume that they do. Now, I'm in the second quarter of the cigar right now, getting ready to go into the third quarter. I'm going to take the wrapper off. The heat from the cigar is enough that the glue around the wrapper, the label, the band is heated enough that it comes apart very easily without tearing. I do like to save my bands. In our intro, you may notice the display shadow box I have of the bands that I'm currently smoking the cigars from. But anyway, where I was going with this is once I get past the halfway point and into that third quarter of the cigar, I'm picking up something that I haven't heard anybody else mention that has smoked these cigars with me, or that I've seen other reviewers mention, and that is I'm getting a hint of leather. And it's pretty consistent. Maybe I'm more sensitive to that particular flavor, but it is an awesome change, because when you get to that final quarter of the cigar, you go back to that same stronger, peppery, smooth, but peppery flavor that you had in the first quarter. And that transition from that leather undertaste into that peppery flavoring is very nice. Even though I'm expecting it at this point, it always surprises me when that transition starts to happen. Again, guys, thank you for watching this review. I do look forward to having the feedback so I can learn to make these cigar review videos better. By the way, you'll see right there that I still have the upper band on. I've just taken the lower band off at this point because there's two bands. You have the big presentation band with the nice artwork, and then you have the ESV band that goes on underneath it. And it's the ESV band that I removed earlier. At this point, in just a few moments, I'm going to go ahead, and it looks like I'm removing that band now, the upper band. In a few moments, I'm going to go ahead and speed up through the rest of the enjoyment, the smoking of this cigar, just to not overwhelm you with too long of a video. And we're going to get back into the presentation with a couple bits of recap. But just know that I really appreciate you sticking through this with me. And please give me as much feedback and critiques, good, bad, indifferent. Just let me know what you think of this format of cigar reviews so that I know how to continue to give you stuff that you'll find enjoyable. Okay, guys, here's the finish up video of me smoking the cigar in sped up time. It'll only take a few minutes to get through this, and then we have more review at the end. So please hang on for a few minutes and we'll get right back into it. Thank you. Now, before the light, as we said in the video, although we didn't show it, I did a few test draws on it, and it did have a strong, darker coffee taste to it, but it's very consistent. There's no blockages. It's a very even flow of air through the cigar itself. The flavors, as again, we talked about in the video so far, begin and end with a full pepper taste. Now, it's not harsh. We've covered that a few times in this video, but it is a very good peppery taste. And it blends into the mocha taste in the second quarter. And for me, it blends into the leather that I get in that third quarter, just the touch of leather. And that transition from the leather into the fourth quarter, where you go back to a stronger presence of that pepper, is a very, very nice transition. The burn is super consistent, as you saw in the video. I'm very happy with how the draw and the flow of the cigar works. There's just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of resistance that helps thicken and compact the smoke, but there is no blockages, and there's no difficulty to the draw at any point in this smoking experience. Final thoughts and my ratings. And look at that, I misspelled ratings. So first mistake there, but I'm not going to correct it because this is our first video. I want your feedback. Let's go into these final thoughts. Perdomo is an excellent manufacturer when it comes to consistency and quality. You always get what you expect, unlike many other brands, and because of the variances that can occur between crops and their soils. And we talked about that a little bit earlier in the video. Each of Perdomo's products are very individualistic in terms of taste, smoke time, just all the different little nuances. There's no two that are similar like you get with a lot of the other manufacturers where there's only small variations from one cigar to the next. No, here with Perdomo, each cigar is going to be very distinct. If you're interested in a medium to full cigar that at no point is harsh or overwhelming, this is one I recommend that you try. Here's the ratings I gave it. On build and construction, I gave it a 9. Draw a 9. And these are on a score of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest. Flavor an 8. Smoothness of finish, that last quarter is where you really get some separation between high-end cigar manufacturers. The smoothness of finish on here, I'm going to give a 9. And the consistency, which I've been raving about this whole video, I'm going to give a 10.